All right, so the major gaming controversy this week was Highguard. A lot of people were coming out saying that Jeff Keighley was shilling this game. There was all this there were all these questions about where this thing came from and why we were supposed to care about it. This thing flopped at release. It was just another example of just another AAA failure, right? I didn't even talk about it because I tend to focus on the games that the community tend to pretend are good. Games like The Last of Us or Ghost of Tsushima or Baldur's Gate or Elden Ring and all that. I tend to focus on the games that people tend to present as Nintendo killers. So when it comes to games that fail on AAA platforms, I just can't really talk about all of them. Okay, you're talking about hundreds of games that come out every day. Do you really expect me to be sitting here being oh yeah, this is crap? I'd rather play more Mario Tennis. That's my default position. Okay, unless I actually play the game, I don't really have anything interesting to say about it. And honestly, I'm getting to that point where I don't even really want to play these games either, because I have so much going on, so much to do, that it just kind of doesn't really feel as if it's as if it's really happening. As if there's any reason to do it. I would much rather play more Nintendo games, or read more books, or write more books, or make more YouTube videos. I have way too much going on to play bad video games at this point in my life, and I really don't believe I ever will again. Not like it was 10 years ago. It used to be amusing to kind of see how bad the rest of the industry was compared to Nintendo, but now I'm just kind of phasing out of that mindset, and it's probably a good thing. I do kind of feel I'm making better use of my time now than I was back then. But again, the downside to that is that games like Highguard come out and I don't really talk about them at all. It's just one of those situations where wow, Jeff Keighley shilled a game and it failed. Just like Baldur's Gate, just like It Takes Two, just like everything else he's done. What makes this different? Well, the thing that makes this different is that people are noticing something that I've been bringing up since Baldur's Gate 3. Actually, I think since before that. I think since as early as Black Myth Wukong or the past couple of years. People are saying that Highguard was a game developed or produced by TenCent. The reason Jeff Keighley came out and showed it so hard was because TenCent was behind it. If you don't know, TenCent is this massive Japanese company that's behind all of these fake as fuck games, games like Genshin Impact, and games that the industry pretends are these huge massive deals, even though that nobody talks about or plays them. So TenCent is this huge major paper tiger in the gaming industry, where they put out all this money trying to get their games to take off in the West, and they just kind of fail everywhere, essentially. TenCent is this evil corporation that's just trying to that's trying to do what Sony did in the 90s, but just isn't having the same kind of success. Tencent is this huge deal in China. They're straight up CCP backed. They're this evil corporation, and it feels more and more as if people are slowly starting to understand what that actually means. What it actually means is that Tencent is willing to shill their products, have them be promoted at the Game Awards, and have them be treated like these huge major announcements when in actuality nobody really gives a fuck about them. And this has happened several times before. Tencent holds a minority stake in Larian, and they were behind the Baldur's Gate 3 shilling. Tencent's been involved with Black Myth Wukong. There are all these examples of this, but it feels like Highguard is the straw that broke the camel's back, because this is something that's been evident for me for a long time, is that Tencent is desperately trying to break into the industry. They're desperately trying to become successful, and they're desperately trying to get their own IPs to take off and become relevant, right? So they're going to extreme lengths to make this happen. And what's happening now is that they've been doing it so much that people are starting to see through their nonsense. Okay, instead of worshiping Black Myth Wukong as some anti-woke statement from the Chinese, people are looking at Highguard and they're just this is lame. This is stupid, you know? Like, people have, like, enough experience with Tencent now where they can look at their products and just be like, you know, this isn't as good as what Nintendo is doing. And that's been the problem with Genshin Impact for years. I'm sorry, with Tencent for years. I remember when Genshin Impact came out, and there was this huge push from the industry, like, oh yeah, Genshin Impact, it's way more popular than Breath of the Wild, it's making so much money, like, oh, it's so big in China, oh, and I was just like, who cares, you know, like, it's not as good. And what happens? You know, Genshin Impact completely falls off, nobody talks about it, nobody plays it, it's not a big deal, okay, it's just a very transparent example of how desperate the community is to try and downplay Nintendo hardware. To the point where they were like hyping up a mobile free-to-play gacha game like Genshin Impact. You know, it's just so remarkable how delusional the industry actually was. It is so ridiculous how the community really, really rallied behind this idea that that Tencent would save them. Like, this is the end result. You know, you tried hyping up Tencent as being like the next Sony, you know, the next major competitor to Nintendo. Like, oh yeah, they're so big. Oh, China, they're way bigger than Nintendo. Oh, like, you know, completely failing to account for the fact that, like, it's a CCP controlled company and they have unlimited resources for that reason. But that doesn't really lead to very, very good business decisions or cultivating, like, good creative talent or anything like that. Like they're just not really competitive with actual video games. And I think that's becoming more and more apparent all the time, is that, like, maybe they can do well in China because of, like, you know, the Chinese government preventing, like, wide releases of Nintendo hardware. I think everyone just imports everything from Hong Kong. Like, maybe Tencent has, like, some, like, local appeal, but, like, on a worldwide stage, they're just not going to compete with the far superior Japanese developers. Okay? Like, Tencent just isn't really competitive with Nintendo. And I think that's going to become more and more apparent as they try and crack down on Nintendo and try to keep promoting their nonsense. Because I think you're going to see a lot more situations like this. I think a lot of people are going to demonstrate very clearly just how, like, Tencent is kind of a joke and how they're not really capable of competing or doing anything that will really, like, impact the industry in, like, any serious way, shape, or form. I don't know if I don't think I own a single Tencent product, actually. I downloaded Genshin Impact once to try it. It is garbage. But I don't know if I own anything that they have. So we'll have to see just if Tencent becomes popular here. But, like, the way things are going now, I think it's safe to say that, like, it's just not going to happen. You know, no matter how many times Trash Taste tries to tell you that Genshin Impact is a big deal, it's never actually going to be true. And I think that's going to become apparent very quickly.